Xena Electra, I am here. Yeah. Sharing these good vibes of you. Y'all, before we get into it, let me share this live. Let me share this link real quick. And then we'll get into the topic of today. And the topic of today is why they look like that? Meaning extraterrestrials, ETs. We're going to talk about dimensions. We're going to talk about frequency. We're going to talk about a whole lot of good shit. Today. Right? Motherfucking now. Very soon. I got to send this. So, here. All right, okay. Greetings, beautiful, lovely faces. Xena Electra here, Soul Evolutionary Guide. I am on my soul's journey. Meaning, what does that mean? My soul's journey. I'm in a van. I'm doing the van life thing. But it's more than van life. It's me actually listening to the call of my soul. And I've been doing so with the help of astrocartography. If you don't know what astrocartography is literally locational astrology, astrocartography, locational astrology. So right now I'm in a very beautiful place where there's very beautiful energy for me, and I'm still trying to figure things out. So in the meantime, why they look like that though? So we're gonna talk about it. Why Hollywood and different aspects of society have shown extraterrestrials as looking something like this. I drew on my little finger. So we're gonna get into it right here, right today, right motherfucking now. So, frequency. I'm going to make this make so much sense. We're going to talk about frequency, energy, and dimensions. So, in order for the average human to interface with an extraterrestrial, that human would have to vibrate so freaking high. And at the same time, that extraterrestrial will have to deplete itself and to drop its frequency in order to meet that human being where the human being is, which is 3D, 4D, glimpsing in and out of the fifth dimension. So that's why everybody don't, it's not common for just masses, groups of people to just be like, oh, look, there it is. It's a plane. It's a plane. It's a bird. It's a, what they say about Superman. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's a extraterrestrial. And so that's why groups of people, because especially when people are in group settings, it's usually for lower vibrational reasons, which will make it even harder. So extraterrestrials, because they have to drop their frequencies, the reason why is because they exist in the sixth dimension and higher, even higher. So let's just think about you're on an elevator and you're trying to go up so many floors and it keeps stopping at every single floor on your way up to, let's say, the seventh floor. And it's like, damn, people, you stop, the elevator goes up one floor, stops, people get in, and it's just like, okay. On the way down, it just goes down, right? So anyway, so I have interface with such creatures in moments where I'm at my absolute highest frequency, not worried about nothing. I'm happy with my own self. Nobody's bothering me, and being completely sober, right? So nothing else going on with my auric field but just good vibrations. So why they look like this though? You ain't say that. So just like humans, when these particular beings, when they weaken themselves or lose their vibration or lower their vibration in order to interact or interface with humans, they also lose their angelic form. They talk about it in the Bible, you know what I'm saying? These things came from the sky and they lost their angelic form. So us, or Hollywood, depicting ETs as something like this, and I've seen them look like that. It don't mean that in other realms and in higher dimensions that they're not freaking gorgeous. It's just for them to lose all their energy, we get the bare minimum. They are at their most basic form. That's it. Basic. We don't get all because where we are is such a dense frequency, they need their bare minimum in order to maneuver around, and they don't really, it's hard for them to hold a physical form to be seen physically while in this space. And so think about it in the terms of humans, right? A human who lowers its vibration usually lowers the way that they look or their quality of external appearance to the world. So let's think about the people who do drugs, people that be on the Fentanyl, the methamphetamines with the little picky, scratchy, picky things all on them. It doesn't mean that they weren't once beautiful in their higher vibrational state. They were who they were in their time. But because they have chosen a lifestyle, a frequency, a vibration, a community, an atmosphere that isn't of their highest nature, their highest service, they have depreciated in their actual physical appearance. So this depreciation, this lessening or erasing of beauty, a lot of times is because not only are they in lower pedestal on the financial front, but frequency. A lot of times, especially when you vibrate at that place of addiction, you will open yourself up and you allow yourself to actually have what we call walk-ins. And I did a whole video on this channel about walk-ins, you guys, if you want to know how to get a walk-in and all this and that. Addiction is one of the ways to invite a walk-in into, to share your body until it eventually pushes you to the back of you, to where you no longer have control over who you are and how other people interact with you and even how they see you. If they lose trust, you just become a passenger in your own body. You don't want that, but sometimes walk-ins are angelic as well. So it's not always, it's not always negative. One day I'll do the post about the positive versions of what a walk-in could be, the helpers, to help the body. But, so, back to the ETs. Why they look like that? That's funny. That looks funny. They look like that because as they are dropping in dimensions and frequency, and to even have to like really damn near deplete themselves just for an interaction, they lose their angelic form, just like the addict. I'm sure you've seen plenty of times, there'd be people walking around California, New York, whatever big city, and there's like the little tent cities, and it's like, dang, you could tell so-and-so used to be a pretty girl, used to be a handsome dude, but what happened? And what happened was they lost their angelic form, which is a big reason why when ETs are depicted like this, like this, that's why. Because it's impossible to show up in your totality when you're not operating in your right environment. So when they're here in this atmosphere and this density, this is not their proper environment, so they can't show us their natural. It don't matter how they come to us, if they're the most beautifulest thing we ever seen, or if they looking like a little skinny thing like that, or if they're terrifying. The average human would shit themselves. Because not only, regardless of them, with them losing their angelic presence by dropping their vibration, they still have a presence of pure love. And I have stories of interactions with these beings. Even though it sounds crazy, it just is what the fuck it is. And so just being in the presence of, you will feel the vibration that precedes them. You will feel the energy, the love, the non-verbal. That's why a lot of them don't have mouths, or they have like a little slit in their mouths, because their main function or communicative function is telepathy and frequency. A lot of times you can look at somebody and not say a motherfucking thing, and they heard you. You know what I'm saying? They get the gist of what's trying to be portrayed via eyes, body language, energy, frequency, situational awareness. So these things are evolved past language. Greetings, shout out to Zen Rooms. What's going on? Welcome to the live. So a lot of times these things have evolved past verbal language, being able to communicate how we communicate. So a lot of times, like, okay, I'll share a little story time with you if y'all want to know. So this is one day I was prepping. I was doing tie-dye t-shirts in my apartment, and it was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm up and I'm kind of just singing to myself, not trying to be too loud, but having a good time. And I'm squeezing my tie-dye. And my apartment, it was a studio apartment, but it had like a long hallway, and in the back of the hallway was the bathroom. The sink was outside the toilet shower area, right? So down this long hallway, and then I'm at the sink. All I had to do is do like this, and I could see my whole apartment, right? All I had to do is that. So this is long hallway, sink, and then at a separate door was the bathroom, toilet, bathroom, right? And so it's like 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm prepping to be a vendor and a singer because I was singing songwriting at this thing. It wasn't quite Juneteenth, but maybe it was like a pre-Juneteenth thing a few years ago. And so I'm doing my tie-dye, squeezing everything. I had 3 shirts left. I remember it like it was yesterday. I had 3 shirts left, and something entered my apartment. And it came very quickly down the hallway to where I was. I mean, I saw it. So, okay. So what did I see? What did you see? Oh my God. It was like, it was a clear outline. Like, you know, the movie Predator, right? Or Alien versus Predator. And the Predator, which was this thing with the dreadlocks, Predator had the ability to go invisible. And even as it went invisible, you could still kind of see it as it moved through the trees and past the trees and everything. So I saw, while awake, because a lot of times ETs will wait for us to be in our sleep state in order to interact with us, because when we are asleep, we have the least resistance to their interaction. Let's say it again. So a lot of times, a lot of people have ET encounters when they are asleep because they are not in resistance. They're completely neutral in their sleep state. So there's no, reaction to their presence or to the interaction. So I was completely awake. I'm in the back. I'm squeezing out my tie-dye. I remember thinking to myself, oh, I got 3 more shirts to do. And I see this clear outline of a figure like run, like walk very, very aggressively, quickly from my front door down the hallway back to where I was. And I'm over here doing my little squeegee, and I see it. I'm like, oh, shit. Just like that. Like, and I grabbed my little sage, right? And I'm doing my little sage. Only beans are light up in this bitch. Only beans are light. Only beans are light. And I'm walking around. I'm doing my little sage and stuff. And then it's like it stood behind me and put its hands on my shoulders like, chill the fuck out. Like, what are you tripping for? This is why we don't do this. This is why we don't do this. And then a few moments went by. I'm standing in my kitchen at this point. And I'm just kind of looking to see if I see it again. So a few moments go by. And then I'm like, okay, I'm alone. I'm alone again. And then I went back to my tie-dyes. And that time I was looking over my shoulder. I said, I don't know so what had happened was, and this was to 2020. This was 2020 when this happened. So I was in such a place of peace and purpose and just contentment with myself. That was my first time having my own apartment with no roommates, no family mates, no, not living with family, not living with people or friends. And I was about to be a vendor at a thing where there's all these van lifers and people that travel in these caravans where they just go to state and then they vend. And so not only was I going to be a tie-dye t-shirt vendor, but I was also going to sing and share my music, which they gave me all the time I wanted on stage because I was the only music person that they had there. And so that was a very big deal. My car was already packed up. I'm getting ready to go. I could not have vibrated any higher. And this vibration, this contentment, this satisfaction with life was a signal. Ping. So whatever the fuck it was probably like, I just want to go see who's doing that. Who's doing that? Let me go see. Let me go see what that is. What's that signal? So they came down. Whoa. It came down. But usually when I'm in the, like I said, it was just a clear body. And I've seen this in different ways since then. And now I'm wondering if I can't even get there, but I've seen other clear figures in the past year, 2 years, multiple times, But what I've seen recently, I know who it is. Like, I know who it is. It's somebody's higher self coming to visit me, but at this point in time, I ain't know that person, and I ain't know nobody who would even be able to begin to do something like that. So definitely, it was an ET. It was an ET, and this person I'm talking about is a fucking ET as well. But in my, let me say, I don't want to say too much, but in my dream state, in my lucid dreaming state, throughout my entire life, I have seen these things. They never do anything. They never try to come after me. Even if I'm in my dream state and I see them, I look out a window, I look around a corner, and it's about 5 or 6 standing, and they are tall. They're not the little short ones that work with the GOV. You know what I'm saying? They're not damn. They tall, and I can never really tell the color because it's always nighttime, but bluish, greenish for sure. But otherwise, they look like that, tall. You know. And so there'll be times where I'm awake in my dream state, and for whatever reason, I go to the window, I look outside, and then their faces will go. Let's say if I'm upstairs and I'm in a room in a corner, they know I'm somewhere in the house, right? Like, they're looking for me. And then it will go, and then they'll come. Or they wouldn't come, but to me, it's like, oh shit, they see me. They about to come fucking get me. And so in the dream realm, I'll act like a complete biatch, and I'll just run and scream, Mama! Ah, they after me! And this was years, over and over and over and over and over, until I realized, they've never tried to harm me. They've never even chased after me. These things have literally never done anything but watched. Checked in, made sure your girl's good. So maybe they're not bad. Maybe they don't want to harm me. Maybe it's not as scary as I'm making it to be. Let me tell you. So, okay, growing up, I don't know how old I was, but there was a movie called Mars Attacks that came out. So, okay, what my family did, you know how you stay in the movie and then watch your movie and then the movie after the movie? You know, so we went, I don't know, we saw like Pocahontas or some shit. And then the movie after the movie was Mars Attack. And I cried, I kicked and I screamed, I don't want to watch it. Mama, I don't. Maybe 8 years old, right? Ain't fucking with it. And I sat there and watched the entire movie from like the 5th row of when Mars Attacks. And so I don't know if y'all remember the aliens. They had like the little brains and like the little domes, and they had the water that would like move around in like the little brain dome, and they're like, you know, and they come acting like friends, and then they pull out a gun and they'll just annihilate people. Like they'll just, and people just fall apart. That was the worst time. And looking back at it, I understand. It scared the shit out of me, and I didn't have the words to vocalize, hey, this is frightening to me because I have experienced shit that looks like that on my own, and nobody ever comes to help me. So I don't want to watch no punk ass movie about when Mars attacks. And it wasn't a good alien movie. I want the good alien movies where they come down and they give everybody hugs, and like there's no movie like that. It don't exist because they want us to be afraid. Like I said, I've seen these things throughout my life, and I've never been harmed or chased or anything like that. In my mind, I'm freaking the fuck out until I realized, okay, this is just a part of life. Like it became, if I moved somewhere, they would find me there. Out the country, in the country, down the street, around the corner, in my van. Yes, they have come here for me. And so if you're just now tuning in, we're talking about why do they look like this? And so I go and I explain why they look like this, because a lot of aliens, ETs, they have angelic forms, but in order to be seen by the human eye, in order to interface with humans, more than likely in the dream sleep realm and the astral realm, because of being, for the human being least in a state of least resistance, they tend to look very basic, stripped of all of their goodness, like how Hollywood has depicted them. Because in order to meet us here, the particular individual will have to raise their vibration. At the same time, the ET will have to lose energy, lower their vibration, lower their density, lower their all of that in order to be in a place of now we can communicate in person. So, because, and I mentioned, just like with humans, if a human, when a human lowers their vibration, usually their good looks go with them. And the example I use is like people on the streets, right? That do methamphetamine, that do the fentanyl, and just the regular, stickily prickly things and the drugs, right? The addictions. A lot of them used to be really, really beautiful people, but they lowered their vibration, meaning they lowered their status, their angelic form, thus looking dry, wrinkly, ashy. That's usually like if you can look at a crackhead, even if they try to act normal, and you can tell, motherfucker, you gray. Like especially like a black person, like they'll lose their shininess or the red tint behind the brown. And it's like, no, you gray. Like you gray. Like from PJs, the projects, dealing with the PJs. You know what I'm saying? Like the little claymation, the PJs. How the crackhead dude was literally gray. Everybody else, all the other little clay things are brown. The crackhead dude was gray as fuck. And that's because there is a falling from grace when you do things that lessen your vibration. And so part of that fall from grace is losing your angelic form. You chose your parents to look how you do. Just like with the ETs, a lot of them exist in the 5th dimension, the 6th dimension, all the way up to 12D and beyond, And so to visit planet Earth is not just something they can do on the weekend because they fucking feel like it. They have to plan, they have to prep, just how our NASA people, they do all of this training just to go to the moon for 5 seconds. Like they actually have to put themselves in a mind state, or even let's say swimming, right? You have to hold your breath. And the longer you can hold your breath, the longer you can maintain in that water, in that atmosphere that is different from your own. So let's say ETs, the reason why they look like this, because bitch, they holding their breath. They holding their breath. They're trying to keep it together while they lose their frequency, their energy. They're giving it up on purpose just for a moment of interaction with somebody who hopefully wasn't afraid and can pass it on. You know what I'm saying? Did you get the message? All right, I'm going back. You know what I'm saying? Just how like if you swim and you make your way back to the top real quick, like just to get your little I'll kick my little ass right back to the to get to the little top of water. Man, okay, I'll be back. I'm not gonna be down there long. So it's like that. Like they actually have to not only lose their energy, but figure out how to maintain and balance. So they're never really just hanging out at the corner store or whatever. Like, so there are those that look like you and I, and them, and those people over there, right? The good ones, the bad ones. Because there was lots of breeding that was happening at one point in time. Long time ago. There was lots of breeding going on. And so a lot of people have the ability to tap in to certain aspects of their minds, to certain aspects of their abilities. And it's not only just being able to tap in, but not being afraid to tap in and using your powers for good. Because there's a lot of people. I used to think that every intuitive person had my highest interest in mind. I was so wrong. Not everybody that has intuition has it for good. Some people are just nosy as fuck. Nosy. Pinocchio. Some people like control. They want control. They want to control you with the information that they are intuiting about you. So I've learned my lesson. My goodness. I would prefer to interact with aliens than fucked up hybrids that don't know what to do with themselves. Honestly. But you guys, that's the message for today. I can sit here and ramble. I have tons of stories. And today is actually my Mars return. So what your Mars return is, and we're going to get into astrology also on this chart. But what your Mars return is when Mars is in the sign that it was in on the day of your birth, the day of your arrival here on Earth, and also when it meets the same degree in the same sign that it was in when you got here. And so the Mars return happens every 2 years because Mars spins faster than most planets. You know, some of the outer planets come around every more than 2 years. Like, it'll be a while before you see it again. And so right now I'm just really, I don't know, like I want to be myself and talk about things that would usually make me not want to talk about. Like, I usually just be like, I don't want to talk about that. Let's talk about this, something more comfortable. I, at this moment, don't give a fuck about comfort. I just want to deliver the message, and whomever it needs to hear, let them hear, and anybody else can get the fuck on, honestly. And but I'm happy, I'm grateful to be able to share that with y'all. I'm happy for this journey that I'm currently on. Like, I'm in the middle of the woods. They was hunting last night. It was duck season, rabbit season, duck season, rabbit season. I'm like, do I need to move? Like, I never heard this much gunshots when I was in the hood. You know, these hunters are out here. I was just like, I really wish they would stop. It don't sit right with my soul, but some people have that need to unalive something just to fill them up so they can feel whole inside. Be happy that ain't you. If you watching this and that ain't you, it better fucking not be. Scroll away. I don't want you here. You're not invited. But that's the video for today. That's the message for today. I ain't gonna hold you. It's been 27 minutes. I think that's long enough. But so I do have more to share as far as my van life journey. So just keep watching, like, share, subscribe, whatever you gotta do. I'm very grateful for it, and I'm just happy to be here and be still doing this YouTube thing. So thank you for tuning in. Zena Electra signing out, saying happy ascension all, and a peace.